Hey champions, it is Wednesday. I hope you're having a wonderful day and that you're getting out there and enjoying any fresh air you can get and just making the most of everything that's going on. Alright, so yesterday was actually a really fun evening because we did our Exploring the Library episode. We had 3 of our judges join us. So that was Will, Jan, and Shahan. And it was really cool because let alone have I not talked to them a whole lot as individually, but as a group, this was the first time I think all of us got together and we're in one large conversation. So that was a lot of fun. There was a purpose behind it. Like we had a meeting scheduled right after Exploring the Libraries to talk about the championship and what the judges were going to do and just the roles and responsibilities for that event. However, we thought, okay, if everyone's coming together after the live stream, why don't we just have them come during the live stream and chat? So I was really happy when the 3 of them joined and we got to carry on the conversation. It was also really good because there were times where sometimes I was just stumped on questions and Shahan came prepared with a bunch of questions ready to ask. And I really, really appreciated that. So that was a great episode. We talked about the sealed event that's happening at the championship. So that's when you get 6 booster packs, you open them up, you make a 35 card deck, 175 point G, and then you compete with that deck instead of using a deck you came in and constructed with. I've talked about this quite a bit in the past 3 days because I've been trying to hype up the Exploring the Library. So we had a pretty decent number of viewers. It was more of our average status quo type of thing. We were really excited the week before where a lot of people joined the live stream, but this week we didn't have as many people. That's fine. It happens once in a while. So that was last night. Some things that I took away that I wasn't thinking about walking into that is, you know, how do you plan your deck build? What are the more valuable components and how valuable those consistent 3, 4, and 5 cheat cards are compared to those 7s and 8s? Because you could have a deck with some of the best 7s, and Alex showed this. He had 2 different decks that he was displaying, and one of them had Brook, Guardian of Balance, and Enraged Gorilla, which are phenomenal 7 cheese, along with the Purifying Wave. And that deck, you know, it held a lot of firepower on the top end, but on the bottom end, it didn't perform so well. Whereas the other deck didn't have as much of the powerhouses on the 7s or 8s, but on the bottom end, it had a lot of decent, consistent, powerful cards. Things like Androthera, Gust, or having just a decent amount of summons at the 3-chi, be it, you know, Silverleg Recluse or even Sea Crate. But then also having something like Inferno Imp, which does 2 damage. So having the decent summons at the lower end, more consistency there, is definitely very, very powerful. The other thing that happened yesterday was Louis from Kitchen Table TCG put out a really great video talking about the balance that's required as a game designer from a manufacturer perspective on the things you need to be considering all the time when it comes to designing, publishing, and putting out your game. And he mentioned the 4 pillars. He made them 4 wheels, but he talked about distribution, LGS, and then the players and collectors. And I do agree. I think there is a requirement to balance out these 4 things and have better understanding on how they all interlock, because though we are not trying to make a game that caters to the collectors and the investors, they are still very important because they help drive the secondary market. Without them, then a lot of those very interesting, very valuable pieces get lost in the secondary market, and then no one picks them up. Like right now, we're seeing the Epics and Welcome to JLR still sell for $10 a piece. And I mean, that's perfectly reasonable. If that's the demand for them, then that's the demand for them. But we saw in another video by Shamrock that those cards are in very low print run. It's actually one of the things I didn't personally do the math on, and then realize, wow, there are very, very few of each of those epics out in circulation between sealed and open product. So those don't have a demand right now because there aren't a lot of people looking for them. And once those collectors are trying to look for them, trying to complete their collection of all the epics from Welcome to JLR arrays, then the value of those will start going higher and higher. So I wouldn't be surprised in the future, as more attention gets put onto Genesis, that we start seeing more people, the value of those things increase. But the players are also very valuable, because that's what drives the current product releases. That's what drives the game forward. Without that, it's not a game itself. It's just a collectible, like hockey cards or baseball cards, right? If we want to make it a collectible card game, then the players are essential. They're the ones who are driving play at the local levels. They're the ones who are driving play at a championship like we're having. Those two things definitely have to come in harmony. Now, I'm learning a lot about the distribution and the LGS side, and that's a very different beast. It's a very different part of the conversation. So I really appreciate it that he divided these into two separate conversations for us to explore. Because on the LGS side, it isn't just enough to pick up the product. And I think a lot of LGSs, they're used to a product like Magic, which it's been around for so long. It has so much value already in it that a lot of times a store who knows nothing about Magic can just pick up the product and start selling it immediately. And that's a great statement about how powerful Magic is as a product. However, for newer products like Genesis, even like a game like Flesh and Blood, which is a little bit larger, it still requires a lot from the local game store to not only convince the players to pick up the product, but also create a reason for people to care about getting better at the game. So a big difference about collectible card games to another board game like Monopoly or the Game of Life is the fact that players care at getting better. So when it comes to Monopoly, there are some people who are very adamant, and I always keep that in the back of my mind, because I had a cousin who was obsessed with Monopoly. Like, every time we would go visit him, he wanted to play. He had one board that he played on, and he lost so badly he considered it cursed, so he glued it shut and was like, I'm never playing on this board again. But then he played with other copies of the game. And he loved it, at least when he was younger. I don't know about now. I don't think he plays anymore. But when we were younger, he loved playing Monopoly. And there were people who also really loved playing like Risk or Catan. It definitely created a challenge system. But getting better at those games, it's a majority of the people who touch the product aren't really interested in that. Where if we compare Genesis or any collectible card game, not majority, but a good handful of players are looking to become better than where they're currently at. They want to get better cards. They want to practice more. They want to understand the mechanics better. They want to just have a more enriched gaming experience. And the LGSs need to create a space where that's viable. But it is on the publishers to give the LGS the tools to do that, right? And this is where organized play is really brilliant, because it is the system in which the stores don't have to now create their own foundation. They don't have to create a platform for every single game that they host. They just work with the publisher. So for us, it's just signing up to Geo, getting the system, getting everything together, getting the organized play kits, hosting the events, and then recording the scores. The stores don't need to think about that process. They sign up for it, they get their rewards, they start distributing the rewards, and everything's peachy. But the stores also need to be consistent with it, right? If they are like, we'll host a Genesis event whenever there's demand, the demand isn't gonna precede the effort. You have to put in the effort first. And a lot of local game stores don't have the time to do that. So it becomes a weird kind of catch-22, 23. It's one step higher than the old conundrums. It becomes a weird system, because now you have to... The stores don't have the time to create the engine in which the games can succeed. We've kind of created a system, or an ecosystem, where new games can't succeed. It is extremely challenging for new games to push it forward. And this is why every publisher loves those loyal fans who are now going forward to help those local game stores create those events, because those store owners have a lot on their plate. On top of selling their products, They have salaries that they have to think about paying. They have bills that they have to think about paying. They have to stay on top of the market trends. There's so much that's on the plate. That's why it's so easy for them to pick up an established game like Magic, like Yu-Gi-Oh, like Pokemon, and just roll with it. Those products will, not all the time, but very often, they'll just sell themselves. And you could just put the product on your shelf and it will eventually, someone will come and buy it. But for newer games like Genesis, this isn't always the case. So Louis, thank you so much for putting out a video talking about how challenging it is from a publisher's standpoint. And I know you don't have, you're not a publisher yourself. You're just one person at a table talking about these things. But I do think a lot of topics you said, you hit the nail on the head. You were very clear, very precise in what the challenges are. There are a lot more nuances that I don't think you covered in your video, and I wish I would love to sit with you and explore. But if you want to go watch that, I highly recommend go watch his video, and he breaks it down really, really well. All right, that's everything I want to talk about for today. Hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you've signed up for the championship because we are 10 days away. It is coming up really, really soon, and we are looking forward to getting as many people out at the event, playing, participating, and just enjoying the game. So if you don't want to spend the money to get the VIP ticket, we do have a free general admission ticket that just brings you into the hall, allows you to play in the championship, and you can check out the vendor booths. You can check out, meet Camilla, who's going to be there, signing pieces and having just a great time, and then just meet the community. I think it's going to be really, really great. So hopefully we see you at the event. All right, that's it for today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. The 2021 championship is coming up soon. It will be hosted on November 20th in Toronto, Ontario. If you are interested in competing, seats are limited, so sign up as soon as possible. To learn more, go to www.genesisboc.com/championship. Let's get back to the video. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to all our Patreon supporters. Without you, this game would not be where it is today. Thank you for being so awesome.